Hey now, it's Sharon, and I'm back to share some ideas and thoughts and opinions, along with my experiences, on how we can better policing here in the U.S. I do it by sharing my experience while being retaliated against and ostracized for basically just telling the truth, and how we can get some more accountability or just have accountability in policing. So, last week I shared an idea, or basically a question, about white men in government and do they have sympathy? If you're new to the channel, by the way, I'm a retired detective. I worked for 20 years for a southeastern city in the US, and I was also in the military. I'm sharing a lot of different times in policing when I had to basically tell the truth, brought in for questioning. And there were 3 different instances, but I talk about the last 2 mainly, the ostracism and the retaliation I faced, and how I came about this channel and things like that. But last week I asked a question, and I asked the same question different ways the weeks before. But I did ask, I said, do white men in government have any sympathy? And I think I got 10 honest answers. Basically, the others, I wrote it down. A lot of it was off topic, didn't engage in the points that I made, deflected. Oh my gosh, there was so much deflection. And then threw in some false equivalencies. They cherry picked. And I think that's just based on the fact that they didn't even watch the video. They didn't even watch 2 minutes of it, because if you watched the video or listened, you would have heard me say, based on my experience, I don't know all white men, but based on my experience, the white men that I've worked with, they lack sympathy in government. So I asked the question to broaden my perspective by hearing your perspective. And it was hard because, like I said, out of maybe 100 and some odd questions, I got 10 honest answers. And the rest of them did what I just listed, cherry picked, didn't stay on topic, gave false equivalencies, deflected. And then I had to sit back and think about that. Like, why is that? What happened? And so, yes, I realized some people just read the heading and they go with it. And I've done that. I no longer do that, of course. But then, was the trigger white men? Was the trigger white? The word white? Was the trigger men? I'm not sure. But a lot of the comments were that I was racist. Again, if you listen to the whole video, I even had dialogue with one commenter. They actually said they would go home and watch it, come back, and they did, which was a big deal to me. And then they shared their perspective. Wonderful. I appreciate it. But that's all I was looking for. That's all I was looking for. And so, again, I had to ask myself, okay, where did that come from? How are they basing their comments on something they don't know? And again, I was guilty of that because it brought me all the way back to being ostracized and retaliated against the last time I had to basically tell the truth. And the Holy Spirit was dealing with me, and the Holy Spirit said, you need to look at your own heart. I was so worried about the hearts of my coworkers and some of the people I worked with. And the Holy Spirit was like, no, look into your own heart. You have issues. And I'm like, no, I don't. And the Holy Spirit was like, yes, you do. And so I wrote this book, My Middle Eastern Conflict, looking back at my future. Look at the cover page. It is something that I share, the revelations that I got from studying and researching, especially Numbers 13 from the Bible. I share a lot of that because, again, I want to know what goes on in a person's heart to make them answer the way they do. Because what comes out is where does it come from? And I had to answer that about myself. When I was doing all that negative self-talk, hanging out with these guys, I picked it up. F me and F that was effed up in me, blah, blah, blah. I had to catch myself like, where is this coming from? So yes, I had to go inside my heart. And then I wondered, do they go inside their hearts? And that's when the Holy Spirit said, you need to look at your own heart. So I'm asking the question for perspective, to broaden my perspective on your experience with white men in government. And what does that look like if they do have sympathy, right? Again, this is going to help me with my perspective. I'm trying to learn. And I do have a book that could help anybody that wants to go inside their heart. Even the ones that had the little nasty comments that I was racist, but didn't really watch the video. It seems like people are afraid to do that self-inspection. Because I wasn't willing at first, but then I had to because I wanted to know. And once I went in, I'll give you a visual. When I went into the land of my heart, a lot of fighting going on, a lot of fighting. Pride, fear, excessive pride, lots of fear, bitterness was in my heart. That's what I discovered. And I share it in the book. So I'm wondering, what does sympathy from white men in government look like? I know people are like, why do you want to know? Because I used to work with them. I don't know all white men. So the ones that I've worked with and had experience with, they don't have sympathy for themselves, much less anybody else. And who's in government? What main group of people are in government? How are we going to unify if we don't learn and get perspectives and learn from each other? But yeah, I just want to share that little bit on where and how I came up with the question, do white men in government have sympathy? All right. Like, subscribe, comment, definitely comment. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. And I have an online store. The link is in the description. And I'll come back next week. Oh, the book. You can get the book right here on lulu.com, lulu.com. It's under the Religion and Spirituality tab. And yeah, I'll come back next week. I look forward to the comments and just to ideas on why are people so afraid to go inside their own hearts and answer the question truthfully. All right, talk to you later. As is our tradition, you don't necessarily have to go through a thing to learn from it. Talk to you later. Bye.